A warm good evening and welcome to Business Today. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko with Winnie Wins and Akauchi on sign language. This is Business Today and you're watching Smart 24 TV. We're coming to you live from Plot 42 Nile Avenue. And among our top stories for tonight, we will be looking at land disputes versus case backlogs, as well as looking at the financing of road maintenance in Uganda. Better yet, also looking at the domestic tourism growth across the East African Community bloc. But to kickstart it off, we start with the land disputes versus case backlogs, as the case backlog in the judiciary continues to be a major issue in the nation, and it's projected that more than 3 trillion are being delayed by land disputes in the land division alone. Economically, the absence of such money has an impact on economic growth because it discourages investment. Martha Nimsima with the report.
According to the annual judiciary report for 2022, there are 168,007 outstanding cases and 50,592 open cases, or a backlog of 30.11%. However, they are fighting tooth and nail to minimize case backlogs, according to James Karimani, the Judiciary Communications Officer, who estimated over 3 trillion is stuck in the land division alone that comes along with land disputes.
Backlog, of course, in that land division, and the backlog of those cases are holding monies which would be released to the economy, and it would be boosting our economy. It is estimated that in the land division, if you calculate all the matters that are there, it can be up to around 3 trillion being held up there in the disputes that are in court. Someone bought land, was a lot of money, and before he could do anything, a conflict arose, and therefore his money is held there. He cannot develop the land, and that money is held there.
Remember, we have been having challenges with courts of law. Cases take long to be disposed of. Remember, these are matters that touch the vulnerable, the most vulnerable. So if a case takes 15, 20 years before being determined.
It is important to note that land is not registered under customary land tenure. This causes a lot of issues because there is no concrete proof of ownership. Judith Nabakova, the Minister of Land, argued Ugandans to register their land, noting that the government would do it for free in accordance with the president's mandate because doing a land survey would be too expensive. This will assist in addressing those who exploit the backlog of cases to confiscate other people's land.
Land cases. And some of the people use it as a trick. If somebody has money, we'll take you to court, and they will know that it will take years and years for justice to be delivered. Meanwhile, for the poor person, they are suffering.
Of course, we have come up with various innovations also as a judiciary Uganda. We have mediation. Mediation has resolved so many cases in a short time, and saving money that would have been involved in handling those cases. We do promote mediation because a case which would have taken 4 years can be resolved in 2 months.
During the IGAD Land Governance Program 11th Steering Committee meeting, which was held from the 1st and 2nd of June 2022, it was agreed that Uganda hosts the Conference on Land and Conflict through the ministry which is responsible for land.
Uganda, a member of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, will hold a conference on land and conflict to learn how other IGAD members are resolving land issues.
One of the ways is what is going to happen during that Justice Week. Bringing those judges and magistrates together, discussing, comparing notes with other regional courts. How are they managing in their countries?
The Chief Justice, Alfonso Owinidoro, revealed that 7 trillion is blocked in the commercial and land divisions of High Court due to the shortage of judges to hear cases during the launch of the Judiciary Annual Performance Report of Financial Year 2021-2022.
With the increasing case backlog, the judicial community has organized a conference on land and conflict from the 24th to 28th of this month, where they will learn from their partners how to resolve these issues. Martha Nimsima, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
looking at financing the road maintenance in the country, the government, through the Ministry of Works, has released 134 billion Ugandan shillings in Q2 of the financial year 2022-2023, and this is said to be used to maintain and construct, as well as reconstructing, all the roads in the country that were destroyed by the unending heavy rains that have continuously been falling. Now, stakeholders have been given money according to the rules, that is 100 billion Ugandan shillings to the Uganda National Roads Authority, 4 billion Ugandan shillings to Kampala City Council Authority, and then 30 billion shillings to the districts and various sub-counties in the country. We do have more of this report.
The general public has been gripping about the bad roads that prevent people from taking care of their businesses and other growth plans, as well as the insistence of the districts that hire service providers to perform road maintenance tasks in violation of predetermined standards. The government donated the road maintenance equipment to facilitate the road work programs. Thus, all districts are required to abide by the new rules.
We have decided that this is going to be the way we are going to do business, to avoid the gray areas where people say we have not got money when the district has got money. Even if you got 10 million, show what the 10 million has done, and then we shall be able to be accountable to you and members of the society. I also want to bring this up, and so that you know, every district has a district road committee, and the chairperson of that district road committee is the member of parliament. So members of here, I can see some people are surprised to know that members of parliament are members of the district road committee. So they are supposed to sit with this committee. First of all, the district submits annually to Engineer Naimanya their work plan. What are they going to do? Which roads are they going to address? What culverts are they going to fix? Blah, 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 and how much money?
Naimanya Andrew, the executive director of Uganda Road Fund, has pleaded with all parties involved to refrain from abusing the money that has been made available and to ensure that all utility companies are aware that all the contracted roads are repaired on schedule.
Humble request to district road committees to ensure that the funds are utilized as per the agreed work plans. Also, my humble request to the utility companies. Someone shared with me a bill of about 7 million shillings for a car to be repaired, simply because of a utility company that has dug up the roads in KCCA in Kampala here and have not repaired them. So this is a bill that a road user is facing simply because utility companies are not covering when they dig up our roads. So the money is limited. Please, I humble request utility companies, please don't dig up our roads and then you damage the vehicles.
As one of the stakeholders, KCCA has received funding as well. According to David Luyembaze, the Deputy Executive Director of KCCA, the roads in the worst condition should be fixed before the others.
To announce that we've received about 4 billion shillings from the road fund for this coming quarter. And we're going to focus on roads in the Kololo areas, Kiembe Lane, Chitezi Road, Kampala Road, and Bombo Road. But maybe as a matter of caution, I want to inform you. KC has a network of about 2,100 kilometers, of which 600 kilometers are paved. But 60% of that network is beyond what a maintenance intervention can cause an improvement. So don't expect much change in the condition of the road network in Kampala, because much of it is beyond repair. And we are focusing on trying to mobilize resources to reconstruct, revamp this network. And in that effort, again, we've received about $288 million from African Development Bank to reconstruct, rehabilitate about 69 kilometers of roads in Kampala.
134 billion Uganda shillings has been released to maintain, to construct and reconstruct all roads in the country. This money has been distributed amongst all stakeholders, that is, UNRA, KCCA, districts and sub-counties. All this has come after all roads being destroyed by the heavy rains falling. Desire Nambiru, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
And now we look at domestic tourism in Uganda and the East African Community Bloc, as Uganda and Kenya set to exhibit in Mombasa during the 17th November 2022 under a theme, strengthening networks, synergies and diversifying as well as maximizing the tourism potential between the two countries. Tourism is one of the key sectors in the economy of the two countries and as well as the East African Community bloc, and it contributes an average of 17% to the export earnings and contributes to GDP, averaging at around 10%. Samuel Kirimunda with more.
Uganda is endowed with safaris, rich cultural and historical heritage, a variety of attractions of flora and fauna, including the mountain gorillas, tree-climbing lions, and 1,063 bird species in the national parks across the country. Tourism arrivals in Uganda in 2021 stood at 512,945. Out of these, 325,387 were from Kenya, which translates to 63.63% of all arrivals in the country. The President Uganda Tourism Association, Herbert Byaruhanga, says there is a need to promote domestic tourism, and government of Uganda has introduced tourism courses in schools to boost it.
So what we are doing now is to make sure that we involve many people, and thanks to the government for even introducing tourism courses in schools. We have people now are being trained. Tourism is becoming a subject so that people appreciate it from the young stage. You know, when you learn something, when you're still tender, you're able to do it.
According to State Minister for Foreign Affairs Okello Oryem, reveals some of the opportunities so much to offer in terms of trade at tourism conference, exhibition and farm trip between two countries.
There is so much to offer. There is so much that is positive between these two countries in terms of tourism, in terms of trade that can be exploited. It's a question of us just putting our heads together. And such initiative is very, very positive. Let us not wait. You know, this issue of waiting for Bazungu to come and tell us what to do or how to do it. I think the time has reached where it should stop. Almost every one of us are educated. Every one of us, even if they're not educated, they're intelligent. Every one of us know what is good and what is bad. So, when what is good for us, we know what is good for us better than Bazungu know what is better for us.
Private Sector Foundation Uganda PSFU Stephen Asimwe says that the government of Uganda is going well in marketing perspective as far goes to regional tourism and dealing with issues of standards and working with Uganda Revenue Authority in terms of compliance. And they have a principle to exhibit as the East African Community under the banner of Borderless.
From 2016 to date, all our international exhibitions, especially the big ones, WTM in London, the Berlin one, ITB in Berlin, CITM in China, JATA in Japan, Indaba in South Africa, in Nairobi you just came back from Magical Kenya, Kwita Izina in Rwanda. All of those, now we have a principle to exhibit as East African Community under the banner of Borderless Borders.
The global tourism expressed a mild 4% upturn in 2021, with 15 million more international tourist arrivals, thus overnight visitors, than in 2020, but remained 72% below the level of pre-pandemic year in 2019. That's according to the primary estimates. Tourism being a key sector in all economies of the East African Community, a big contributor to the GDP through export earnings, foreign exchange and employment, Tourism Conference Exhibition will explore tourism opportunities through joint marketing strategy, partnership and linkages. Statistics for both imports and exports in tourism within two countries vary as follows from 2017 up to date. Story compiled by Samuel Kirimunda for Smart 24 TV Business Today.
Away from that, we now talk matters value addition on grain. The first step in mapping the market is to delineate the value chain. The flow of seeds to farmers and grain or tubers to the market occurs along the various chains. Now, stakeholders are pushing for greater commercialization of agriculture by encouraging the use of irrigation and mechanized farming to improve on the value chain. Bronia Katusime reports.
The main objective of grain storage is to profit from higher grain prices by delaying delivery after harvest. Gain carry in future markets and basis improvement are two ways that this manifests itself. In East Africa, the grain industry, along with its full value chain, plays a significant role in raising household incomes, improving food security, and generating new jobs. Evidently, cost-cutting increases grain value and the significance of ethics in business.
When you reduce the cost of production and you have visibility of your whole value chain, you're not only reducing cost and providing efficiencies on your value chain, but you're also creating value on the other side where we can now start the wheel of value. So it becomes a cycle. When you're successful in a sale where you are ensuring and monitoring quality all the way, it means that people are now encouraged when they see the tail end of the profitability of a sector. And now it will not only stick to grain, but I encourage people of sugar to come along, because we have the white sugar and the industrial sugar. We encourage people of cotton to come along. All these warehouses, they're not just for grain. We encourage all the other, and all the post-harvest handling. I don't know now, we even have the cold houses, because it's not just the grain, but we now have the cold houses. We get orders for beef to the UAE, but we do not have cold houses. And I believe they can take the same kind of framework.
Once we know what's good for us, let's also appreciate that it must be good for our neighbors. In other words, if you're a business person or a manufacturer or a producer of a product, you must first taste it, eat it yourself before you give others to eat. Because that is the challenge we are facing, that ethics have gone out in business. People are selling knowingly unsafe products, and yet they want to make money from it.
A value chain can be described as the entire range of tasks necessary to take a good service from conception through all stages of manufacturing. Farmers, traders, processors, transporters, wholesalers, retailers, and final consumers are some of the value chain actors who actually transact a specific commodity as it passes through the chain. Storage plays a significant role in the production of high-quality grain and value addition to grain.
Around provision of storage facilities, silos and warehouse is another value. Because any grain, if it is not properly stored, you lose that grain, any food. Secondly, as a way of adding value, value is lost at production. So we have created a lot of awareness to the producers, those are our farmers. We tell them that this is the best way of managing our food. Thirdly, we undertake fumigation, which is recommended within the food health standards. So that fumigation is able to preserve food, and this food does not become poisonous to us, the consumers.
So much, we consume so little internally, but most of it is for export. And to export, you have standards. Besides the export standards, we must produce and consume standard commodities. So our markets, our partners in the region expect us to produce for them and produce good quality.
Value addition creates a higher market value of products and a long shelf life. It also attracts more customers, which boosts revenue and also profits. Bronya Katsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.